And I thought about changing up the intro, but we've committed now. We have to keep doing it.
Yeah.
The same.
Oh God, it's just
for another 700 episodes.
It's unstoppable now.
Oh God,
We've reached maximum. We can't go back. The momentum is just unstoppable.
Yes, or as the French say, "It's gonna go on."
Go on forever and ever.
Such is life. Or as the French say, such is life. So there you go. We just lost our one French listener. But the rest of you are still here, and that's what counts. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Big Damn Cast. Nerdy news, geeky gossip, political opinions, whatever the hell we want to talk about. Because the world is happening around us, and we're stuck at home recording our 14th consecutive Skype episode.
I don't know. I really don't know.
I was very jealous. I was very jealous of my wife yesterday because I was at work and she popped round to see you guys and drop off prezzies for your better half, and she got to see you guys in the flesh,
responsibly and socially distanced. I might add. Just to make...
from back door to end of garden. And,
not that anyone seems to give a fuck anymore, but just to
tell me about it.
Reassure everyone.
I was very jealous. She came back, she showed me a selfie she'd taken of her and you guys in the background posing up a storm, and I was just like, oh, I want to see them.
We always pose up a storm.
And the man I want to see, of course, is my lovely co-host, Matt. Give him to me, Watson.
And the man who wants to see me is Chris. Oh, Madam Johnson.
Madam Johnson. You remembered my street name.
Ah, yes.
Just before we recorded, we were having a little catch up, and we were talking about What We Do in the Shadows, which its second season finally arrived in the UK about 2 weeks ago on BBC iPlayer, and it's going out on BBC Two, I think, week by week as well, for those who don't use catch up, because apparently there are people like that. And I apologise in advance for if we just slip into Matt Berryisms, because holy shit, Laszlo is a funny character. Even though, as we've just discussed, Laszlo is just every other Matt Berry character, but he's wearing more velvet. More velvet
and teeth.
Like, that's the only difference, but it works. It works.
However, I do want to just put it out there that Guillermo is the best character in that show.
Oh, Guillermo's got an arc.
He's got an arc.
It's a sitcom where the toys go back in the box at the end of every episode, except Guillermo.
Yeah,
and it's like, nice, okay. And but, you've not got to the end. You've not got to the end of the series yet, but I will say, how series 1 sort of ended with a kind of toward the end that made you go, right, well, I'm happy to see more of this because it's funny, but I also want to know where they're going to go with that. Series 2 does some of that too.
Good.
So,
well, that's good because it's got a third season. The third season
Yay!
is coming. But yeah,
killer theme song.
Harvey Guillen, who plays Guillermo, he has the John Krasinski in The Office skill.
Yes,
of just being able to do so much with a look to camera. Which,
and it's just those fleeting asides as well. Yeah. It's not prolonged. It's
something that's kind of unique to the mockumentary genre, but he's really got that, and it's just joyous.
He's magical, and the guest cast have been great this series as well.
Oh, fantastic guest cast! I
mean, you've now had the Jackie Daytona episode, so you've bathed in the Mark Hamill of that story.
Yes.
Tony Atamanik coming back as is Gary, the name of the neighbour, coming back as the neighbour in the one
Sean.
where Sean, that's it, yeah. Where everyone gathers around and looks at the superb owl. It's a superb owl party. Oh, good God!
We got
just
Craig.
Sorry, go on. We've got
Craig Robinson.
It's
always a joy to see Craig Robinson.
In more than one episode as well. I was so happy about that.
And, Nick Kroll returning as Simon the Devious.
Simon the fucking Devious. A name that just sounds once removed from Ray Bloody Purchase. No, it's been really. I mean, starting the first one with Haley Joel Osment and Benedict Wong.
Oh yeah, Haley Joel Osment, of course. And Benedict Wong just being just perfect. I love Benedict Wong.
This thick Northwest brogue, like in the middle of this cast of mostly Brits playing like European stereotype vampires in an American TV series developed by a New Zealand TV company.
Pretty much.
Like, what is this?
It's...
I can't remember if Taika Waititi directed any of this series, but he produced the series. Jermaine Clement directs a couple of episodes.
Yeah.
So, like, it still feels completely a part of the original film. And that's kind of made me upset in a way because there's been no way outside of New Zealand so far to legally watch Wellington Paranormal.
Yeah.
Which was the first spin-off from What We Do in the Shadows, the film. And also, like, because of the Fox series, because of What We Do in the Shadows, there's been a bit of a delay on what was going to be the follow-up film, We Are Wolves.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is a great title.
Yeah.
But, we'll see. Maybe they'll all fold it together in some way instead and just, like, adapt, like, that film into, like, an arc on What We Do in the Shadows or something.
Yeah.
But I'm there for it.
One can only hope.
Have you been keeping up with Harley Quinn?
No, I've watched 3 or 4 episodes, I think. The last one I watched was when she finally gets her crew together.
Yes. Oh, it's a great cast. It is a good cast.
They do the heist on Maxie Zeus.
Oh, yes, who's like a motivational speaker for supervillains.
It's very good.
Oh my god, it's such a good take. Yeah, we're up to as of this recording, we're up to all the ones that are available on E4's catch-up service. And again, like, this is a show that I'm so surprised isn't just comedy. Like, the story arc and the action is really good in this show. I feel like the pilot is a bit of a lie because the series after the pilot is nowhere near as gruesome.
Yeah, I've kind of felt that.
It's almost like they tried to shock everyone in week 1, and then they were like, "You're still here? Good, stick around."
Yeah,
the language has stuck around though. Like, it's been an absolute, like, especially Tony Hale as Dr. Psycho, who gets to just, like,
that's brilliant, absolutely brilliant stuff.
Like a full-on Justice League level threat, like one of Wonder Woman's arch enemies kicked out of the Legion of Doom because he called Wonder Woman a C word on television. Just like, even the Legion are like, yeah, that's a PR nightmare. We can't have you on the Legion of Doom. And it was, oh god. But Tony Hale he's rocking it. He is so good in that role. I mean, the whole cast are great.
Tony Hale's always great. Like, it's not a surprise to see him bringing it voice wise.
And I'm so glad that Jason Alexander is in it more as well. I thought he'd just got to be a cameo as I forgot his name now. This is bloody landlord, but he's in it. He keeps being in it going forward, which is nice because it's also a character from the New 52 run that I fell in love with. So it's like, oh right, they're mostly drawing from this. Okay, sure, let's do this.
It is very New 52 / Rebirth era DC that they're pulling from.
And it's kind of got a hint of Gail Simone's Secret Six kind of runs. That sort of vibes in there as well. I mean, King Shark's personality is different, but he's still as lovable.
I'm also enjoying. It's got more than a little bit of. Oh Christ! What am I thinking of now? It's got a lot of good shit in it. There we go. It's
got good shit. It's full of good shit.
It's full of that's what I was thinking of. It's got the Tom King version of Kite Man.
Yes,
which is probably the best thing to come out of Tom King's Batman run. I know I liked it a lot more than you did.
I wasn't as won over, but that means I didn't get to sample the fruits of later on, which of course
his version of Kite Man is fucking wonderful. You get a sort of version of that here. So yeah, that's been fun.
It's a damn good show. Well, speaking of damn good show, you could listen to anything else right now, but if you stick with us, we'll talk about some pop culture news. We'll show you the chains. we'll show you whatever you want to be bound up in. We don't judge. We don't kink shame on this show.
These chains of love that Judas
as
Priest
we'll
once sang about.
Oh, well. I was going to say we don't kink shame, as we'll prove later when we talk about someone who has dearly departed and absolutely filled their work with the things that were kinks for them. But,
Yep.
Yippity-doo-dah. But first off, before we talk about people who've died, let's talk about something that's dead to me. As we record this, the new trailers for Avengers, specifically stuff labelled War Room. So I guess that's like one of the story arcs or something.
Marvel's Avengers, I think you'll find.
Yeah, which is really annoying because they've confirmed it won't be connected to Insomniac's Marvel Spider-Man.
Yeah, weird choice.
So it's like, why would you do that? I
guess it's because they don't want to have to worry about the stories treading on each other's toes because it's already established that there are Avengers in Insomniac Spider-Man.
Yeah, well, it's dead simple. You just do what Insomniac Spider-Man did and not have them show up in the game, but acknowledge that they exist.
I feel like because of what the story's about, you then get people going, "Oh, why wasn't that reflected in Insomniac Spider-Man?" Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, Insomniac did the work on Spider-Man and the upcoming Spider-Man Miles Morales. This is an effort from the Tomb Raider team at Square Enix, Crystal Dynamics. We've seen footage of this on and off for a year now.
Yeah.
The initial trailer where everyone got a good look at the core 5 Avengers that are in the team in the opening of the story, which is essentially the first movie lineup minus Hawkeye.
Yeah.
And at the time I was like, oh, they've done my boy dirty by leaving him out. They've done him dirty. And now I'm like, no, they were sparing him. They were sparing him. Because when we first saw that cast lineup, everyone acknowledged the faces look odd. It just kind of looks
I maintain
odd.
It's because people are so used to the MCU versions of those characters now that to get sort of Captain Ersatz versions that just aren't quite there.
Yeah, well, to me, it just sort of, in terms of the movement and everything, it kind of felt like I was looking at a character model from the late PS3 kind of era of gaming. Specifically because they're going for a realistic look. It's not a stylized look.
Yeah.
And, I mean, when, I recently replayed Uncharted 4, and I was marvelling at how gorgeous this works and looks.
You wait till you see The Last of Us Part 2, son.
Oh, God, the screenshots Keeks has been sharing on the PS4 community and stuff, I'm like, that looks amazing.
You need to see it in motion to sort of...
Just the basic details are incredible. But like, Drake looks like a real person in Uncharted 4. If you go back, everybody, to Uncharted, Drake's Fortune, the first one...
Uncharted, Drake's Fortune, the first one, to give it its full title.
The Nathan Drake Collection, HD remaster. Like, it looks amazing, and it plays amazing, the story's great, the cast are great, but, like, they're stylized. The first 3 games of the series, they have a slightly cartoony, stylized design to them. Every character does. It's only the 4th one that goes realistic. Again,
well, they're still coming from a place of Jak and Daxter.
Yeah, and
they're sort of moving, getting into the less stylized stuff as the Uncharted series goes on.
But what I'm saying is, if you took, and it's the same with another great comparison is Arkham Asylum and Arkham Knight, the first and final stories in a game series made by the same studio. The first one is absolutely comic book stylized, grimy and gritty, but absolutely part of just this gothic comic book style design. And then you look at Arkham Knight, and Arkham Knight is designed to be as realistic as possible.
To its detriment, I feel.
Oh, I agree, because the only character who hasn't had an overhaul in it is Joker. Spoiler alert: the Joker appears in some capacity in that game, but he's the only one who hasn't had. He's the only one who hasn't had that much of a design tweak, and he doesn't look too bad. Like, his eyes are less cartoony, and that's kind of it. And it works fine, but I know what you mean. It's sort of like everyone's kind of lost their flair in that last one. Yeah. I mean, again, gorgeous looking game, but it's everyone's kind of lost their flair. And I feel that's what the dissonance with Marvel's Avengers for PS4 was, is it almost looks like it's the stylized look of a more cartoony delivery, but with the realistic skin, realistic texture. And in the latest footage out today, I'm still feeling that a bit, especially with bearded Bruce and bigger bearded Tony.
Yeah.
They kind of look like if you were doing it... Because even Spidey PS4 is... It's naturalistic, and realistic, texture-wise, and proportions aren't necessarily comic book. But when it comes to the more comic booky elements, that's where they like embellish it a bit and go, we're going to stretch it. Like that's where they go Sam Raimi Spider-Man style. Like everyone in Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man movie is a human being, obviously, but they don't try and make, even though they go the route of it's a tech suit, the Green Goblin suit still looks like a cartoon.
Yeah,
like it still looks overblown, and you just accept it. Like Spidey PS4 is the same. Like
as much as people like to dunk on it, and I usually defend it. The Green Goblin costume does look a bit Power Rangers like.
Yeah,
there's no way around
it.
Does. There's no way around it.
That's true. But you just kind of go, yeah, sure, all right. And Spidey PS4 is like that. You look at how Peter looks, and a great example is you look at how Octavius looks, and he kind of has the more realistic design throughout the game because obviously there's more of an emotional through line with him. But you can also look at Scorpion, for example, even though Scorpion looks like a big green cartoon man. Like I believe they exist in the same world. This Avengers, it kind of looks like that they're trying to be super realistic, but the characters they're working with require that more stylized edge to them. They require it. I mean, one of our main characters is Kamala Khan.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing, I'll be honest, that I'm kind of excited about for this game is that Miss Marvel is one of the main characters in the campaign. Her powers involve her body, like, stretching and morphing to cartoonish proportions.
Embiggen.
Yeah, you can't do that realistically, like in a grounded way. You have to embrace the ridiculousness of it all.
Yeah.
And I think they do, but then you look at how super serious the other characters look and how sort of streamlined and straightforward and grounded the designs are. And you're like, I mean, Cap's armor's a great example. Cap's costume looks awful. It's like riot gear.
I don't like Cap's costume.
It just looks weird. Yeah. It's, I don't know, but this latest trailer essentially hints at the greater story. Inhumans play a big part in the story, like the existence of Inhumans.
Oh, so you can tell this has been in development for 4 years then.
Yeah, well, they've outright the word Inhumans is used in this trailer, so they outright like go for it. And it seems that the storyline is some horrible shit happens one day. Cap loses his life saving the day, and we skip forward 5 years to and I think this is why it's losing me even more, a sort of partially post-apocalyptic style, like, security state and all this.
Well, again, that's why it's not going to be set in the same universe as Insomniac Spider-Man.
But, like, so everyone's underground a bit, and Inhumans are being rounded up and experimented on by AIM, and the Avengers have disbanded ages ago, and it's just sort of like, I don't believe that the Avengers would part and go their separate ways if the world was fucked. Do you know what I mean? That's not them. No. That's not who they are. Individual members, yeah, because you could tell stories about that. But, like, all of them, no. Like, what the hell? And it takes Kamala Khan finding Bruce Banner and showing him what's going on behind the doors of AIM to get him to get to Tony, and then, like... And there's a scene in the trailer where Thor and Iron Man are arguing in, like, presumably Stark Tower or an Avengers base or something, and it's like, oh, this is like the Age of Ultron scene. Yeah, this just looks weird now. This just looks really weird. Like, it looks so odd. I think it's almost dangerous to try and... for them to purposefully make visual comparisons to the MCU, because, like you said, people are finding it harder to attach these characters because of that. Because they're not the same ones. But also, it's just the garish costumes, the fact that they keep showing us all these multiple skins that you can have the characters in, but they all just look elaborate and stupid and weird and like gold plated and all. You're like, what is this? Like, what is it? But we do find out.
I'm just not sold on the aesthetic at all.
We do find out who, if not the primary antagonist, definitely one of the primary antagonists of the game is. It's MODOK. But they're going the Insomniac Spider-Man kind of route, or movie adaptation route of showing the character's origin and development. So when we first see him in the trailer, he's propositioning Kamala Khan to like join his laboratory and like, no, be a part of this. We can unlock something together for AIM for the future. And he's just a dude, and his head's a bit larger, and he has some like sort of little probe things on his temples. And you're like, who the hell's that meant to be? And then at the end of the trailer, big close-up of a large face, and you go, oh, it was MODOK. are they going to chicken out and not do actual MODOK? Who is,
I think...
What's his mechanical organism?
Mental organism designed only for killing.
Yeah, or designed only for, what's the C version, whenever they put in kid stuff? Carnage, or...
but there's all sorts of different versions
and,
of the acronym.
But for those who don't know, he's a giant floating head in a mechanical suit with little tiny arms and little tiny legs.
Little tiny arms and legs.
And he's got psychic powers, and he's grotesque looking, and that's kind of the charm of him. He's a proper mad science style villain for comic book heroes to face off against, and he's usually an Avengers level threat, but he's like an enemy to Iron Man and Ant-Man mostly, and
yeah,
you know, he's fun. He's a fun creepy threat to have. He was meant to have an animated series coming out to coming out next year alongside the Howard the Duck one. Both those are the two that have been cancelled, aren't they? No, hang on. No, MODOK's still happening currently, but Howard the Duck got cancelled.
Yeah, but I, at this point, I'd be surprised if we see any of them.
Yeah,
to be honest,
which sucks. But we see glimpses of Abomination in the trailer as well, like fighting Hulk. So it's like, right, we're going to get an Abomination fight. Good, like Hulk v Abomination. Mm-hmm. Go on, what have you clocked? You've got a dirty little smile on your face.
I was just looking up different versions of the MODOK acronym.
Oh, here we go.
And do you remember Amalgam Comics, where they merged DC and Marvel characters together?
Yes, this was a thing.
Yeah, well, MODOK was merged with Hector Hammond.
Oh, the swollen-headed guy from Green Lantern. Yeah.
To form Hector.
Oh.
highly evolved creature, totally oriented for revenge.
Terrible. That is awful.
I think you mean it's wonderful. And he appeared in Iron Lantern.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, Christ.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. Avengers. Currently due out early September worldwide for the PlayStation 4. A game that they've promised for at least 2 years after it will receive 3 brand new storyline expansions and updates. And at this stage, I'm like, guys, you may as well have just waited a generation, because this is going to disappear so quickly amidst all the PS5 launch titles. And
this is going to get lost in the melange.
Yeah, I don't think the brand is going to be remotely damaged by this at all, because it's like the biggest movie franchise on the planet, but...
Although I think they've turned around and said that it's going to be a free upgrade to PS5.
Okay, so...
In keeping with the stuff that Microsoft have been doing with, like, hey, if you buy this game on Xbox One, you will also get the Xbox Series X version.
Okay, oh yeah, because there are online components for it, so...
Whereas a lot of the Sony stuff that's been shown for PS5 has been PS5 only.
Yeah.
And they've been kind of like cagey on doing stuff that isn't that is cross generation.
They clarified this week.
First party, anyway.
Yeah, they clarified this week what Spider-Man Miles Morales is going to be exactly.
It's Lost Legacy.
Yeah, it's Uncharted Lost Legacy.
It's Uncharted Lost Legacy, yeah.
It's Assassin's Creed Brotherhood / Revelations / Rogue.
No, I think it's going to be more like Assassin's Creed Freedom's Cry than Assassin's Creed Revelations.
No, fair play. But I just meant it in the state of, like, it's a continuation of the main series, and if you want everything going forward to, like, make sense, you need to play it. But also, like Lost Legacy, it's hey, we have these mechanics, we have this world, we have... the game sussed out. You want more Spider-Man, but you're not going to get the next full title for a bit. So here's a, 2/3 length title using the same stuff, but with a bunch of surprises, and you're playing a completely different character. And the way they've summed it up as well is that the next story in the series, or the next big central chapter, so the sequel to Marvel Spider-Man, will feature Peter and Miles, and they wanted you to get to know Miles as an individual, as a superhero first. So instead of you having to kind of learn the ropes of Miles during the continuation of the previous story, let's give him his spotlight now. Let's give Miles his spotlight now. So It's sort of it's like if it were a comic book, the first one was Kick-Ass, this is Hit Girl, and then Kick-Ass 2 comes out later.
Could you put it in terms of comic books that I actually like?
Okay, I'm trying to think, but nearly all the good creators that are alive are problematic, apart from like.
Could you put it in terms? Oh, and Mark Millar isn't. Mr. Rape Fantasist Mark Millar.
He's not problematic. He just doesn't realise we can all read the things he's writing.
He's not problematic. He's just obsessed with sexual abuse against women.
He's not problematic. He just tried to kill Janet Van Dyne with Hank Pym smothering her in ants.
He's not problematic. He just... Oh, I'm not even going to go into stuff. It's not worth it.
Read Marvel 1985 and feel like there are some good Mark Millar stories out there. I promise you, it's worth it. It's worth it.
Just don't read Nemesis.
I did.
Just don't.
I don't hate it, but I think that's because I read it before I realised the pattern.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
There's just some gross stuff in it where you're just like, whatever, Mark. Chill out.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Nemesis is a book which is basically what if Batman but a bad guy? And if that sounds like a cool idea, imagine it in your head instead of seeking out Nemesis, because it's unnecessarily grotesque, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like so much of Mark Millar's latter-day output.
Yeah.
But hey, Chris, it's okay. Right. You know why it's okay?
Why is it okay?
It's okay because Batman might be coming back. And I don't mean the 2021 film starring Robert Pattinson. I don't mean that. I mean Batman. On this,
Sorry, I know what you're talking about, and it's sending nice, lovely vibrations through my body that's happened to sound like Danny Elfman's theme from the 1989 movie.
So that Flash movie's apparently still happening.
Yeah, it's on its 75th iteration.
And as rumours of it continue...
The Flash movie's been in development hell longer than the Confederacy was a thing.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? No one's tearing down Ezra Miller statues.
Oh, they should. They should.
Well, yeah.
Will he still be in it? Probably. But yeah.
So...
Flashpoint seems to still be the rumoured plot of the Flash individual movie. It's the first ever solo cinematic outing for the golden age superhero, The Flash. And our first story is going to be a continuity rewriting, multiverse hopping story that makes all the other DC stuff have to listen to it. It'd be like if Iron Man kicked off the MCU with a story where Tony died and then Pepper used the technology to pull his teenage self out of an alternate timeline.
Imagine Infinity War was the first MCU film.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Perfect.
No, even worse, imagine Endgame was the first DC MCU film.
Yes, because we're dimension hopping. Exactly. That's what Flashpoint is, essentially, guys. So...
The rumour is that Michael Keaton is in talks to return as Batman in alternate universes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. That's the news. Yay.
The reason it seems more than a rumour is the first place to report it was The Hollywood Reporter.
Who tend to be very good with their sources.
And are owned by Warner's Time Warner, whatever. So...
whatever that conglomerate's called now.
Yeah, so the fact no one from Warner's would go, hey, maybe don't put that out there, suggests they're like, do you know what? Let's get the audience reaction. That way next week when we meet with Michael, we can be like, oh, have you seen the internet? The internet love this idea. Yeah. The internet love this idea, Michael. Because Michael Keaton has been very vocally in the past open about the idea that the thought of doing another one made him feel really awful and shitty. Because he had mixed feelings, because part of him wanted to carry on doing it beyond Batman Returns, but another part of him knew after meeting with Joel Schumacher that he was just like, these aren't the sort of stories I thought I was going to tell.
This is not the version of the story I want to do, yeah.
So I'm getting out of it. And then for years he was annoyed about the typecasting, despite the fact he had a very varied career already and it was just 2 movies, but he was annoyed about the typecasting. And then in recent years has kind of embraced it again and been like, yeah, sod it, I'm Batman. Like, I was Batman, I'm always Batman.
There is the anecdote going around that he kept, while they were filming fight scenes for Spider-Man Homecoming, he just kept whispering, I'm Batman.
To Tom Holland. To freak him out.
Which, I don't know if I believe that, but it's a nice anecdote. And of course they did Birdman, which...
kind of parallels his own life.
It's a fictionalised version of that sort of post action hero career for an actor.
So he's taken the piss out of it, and also seems to have U-turned and been like, but I'm happy I did it. I really am, because I've seen how many people love it, and I'm Batman, damn it. And you're like, yeah, Keaton, yeah, you are. So him returning is a big get. I mean, there were rumours of him showing up in Crisis on Infinite Earths, the recent CW event, but instead we got... Knox making a cameo in what is clearly meant to be the 89 multiverse. Reading a newspaper implying that Batman and the Joker are fighting again. So it's like, wait, what? What? But Nicholson's dead. But he's dead.
But I thought you said he was dead.
You said he was dead. So that's kind of interesting. It's like, oh, okay. So, they've already teased the idea of, hey, the 89 universe is its own story. It's like, and there was meant to, of course, have been a comic book series a few years ago, which got announced then shit-canned by DC within like 4 months, called Batman 89. Oh, Batman 92, because it was continuing from Batman Returns.
I don't think it ever got properly announced. I think
artwork was put out there. Artwork was put out.
I think what happened was they pitched it, it got knocked back, and then the people who pitched it put the artwork out.
Oh, okay.
Let's
let people know this ain't happening anymore.
I don't think it ever got picked up by DC.
Which sucks,
I think it was just pitched.
It would have been awesome. Because that artwork was black and white artwork with like the Catwoman neon sort of graffiti in it. And you had Catwoman was in it. And
Billy D. Williams Two-Face.
And it was like, oh my god. Because there's, I think there was a version of Bane in the image, or one of the teaser images put out was like their take on Bane.
Possibly. And I think they might have had the Damon Wayans Robin.
Yes, they did.
That was originally supposed to be in...
89.
Who was originally supposed to be in Batman Returns.
Because there's a scene for 89 where he makes a cameo, but he was going to be in Batman Returns proper initially. Because the 89...
No, he wasn't signed on until Batman Returns was in pre-production. Because he got a pay.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, no, they
he got paid for Batman Returns, even though he didn't end up being in it. They didn't end up shooting any of that stuff.
They'd written a scene for Robin in Batman 89, which was just a cameo, because the storyboards for it were put into a mini animatic sequence on the Blu-ray with Hamill playing the Joker and Conroy playing Batman. Which makes no sense, because it's like, well, hang on, they don't sound anything like the versions from this. But that'll be why I'm confused, because the Robin in that is designed to look like the Wayans version. Because obviously by this point they were like, well, obviously that was going to happen in so okay. So I knew they were going to go with that. It would have been interesting to see, and obviously there's a lot of affection for that, especially the 89 film. I don't think as much for Returns in the mainstream, but like definitely for the 89 film.
Yeah, because people are no fucking taste.
It's a bad movie that you think is good because it's got movie. Great performances in it.
It's a great movie. It's the best Batman movie.
Lockdown's really got to you, Matt. It's really got to you.
Best Christmas movie.
You're getting Stockholm Syndrome. No, the best Batman movie was yet to be made, my friend. And we're going to talk about it in a little bit. But yeah, so this is a big get if they do it, because it does mean the multiverse is happening. The report also suggested that Keaton would be playing a, quote, Nick Fury-esque role in the DC cinematic universe going forwards. And also talks of him appearing in one other movie rumoured to be the Batgirl film that's being put together. So, with obviously him being a much older Batman than he was in in the 89 and 92 films, and of course, probably aside from obviously like voice work from some actors like Adam West, he would be the oldest person to play Batman on screen. The rumour is also that the Batgirl movie would essentially be the DC movie universe's version of Batman Beyond, with Batgirl being the younger hero. It wouldn't be set in the far distant future, but Batgirl being the younger hero, being mentored by the now retired but grizzled Bruce Wayne. Which I don't hate. I mean, it's a bit of a loss in that Terry McGinnis is an Asian American character, and like, you know, it would be cool to have a star-making role for a Terry McGinnis. But at the same time, there's nothing to say that, you know, their Batgirl has to be, you know, white. I mean, if she is and it's the right person, awesome. But like, it seems a shame to lose one of the unique aspects of that organically is there in Batman Beyond.
I'll try and push towards Cassie Kane, perhaps. Oh no, because she's already in Birds of Prey.
Well,
you could
based on
that, I suppose,
based on how the universe is rewritten post Flashpoint, the actress who played Cassandra Cain in Birds of Prey, 2-3 years down the line, could absolutely be Batgirl in a Batgirl solo film. It's going to be interesting to see how they go. The DCEU, as everyone calls it, but no one at the studio does, and they apparently get really annoyed about it, is not going to be a reflection of the source material strictly anymore. Like, it can't be if they're going down this route. It's always going to be hybrids and compilations of familiar elements from the books.
Yeah.
So essentially, we're going back into like 90s and early 2000s comic book movie territory for the DC a lot. Like, well, it's not like the comic, but we sort of got this from the comic a bit, and it's like, okay, which is why I think Matt Reeves' The Batman exists, because they still want to do something that is like, well, this is recognizably Batman as we've always known it, and here it is. Did you see the logo for that this week put out?
Yeah,
it's really bland.
It's a minimalist poster. What do you want me to say about it?
It's kind of dull.
The bat symbol. Okay.
It's kind of dull.
Cool.
But
all right.
Yeah, I want to see Keaton again in the role if he's up for it. How about you?
Yeah, I just like seeing Michael Keaton in things. Doesn't matter if he's Batman or not to me.
Can he at least say, at one point, can there be a scene where him and Barry's explaining to him that he's from a different universe and all this, that, and the other, and they go for a walk, like, say he takes him to the Monarch Theatre, because he's sort of like, this is where I was born, this is where the Batman was born. He talks to him about this, that, and the other, and just before they sit down to watch a film, I can tell from the way Matt's furrowing his brow, he knows exactly where this is going. Just before he sits down to watch a film, he says, I'm hungry. You want to get nuts? Come on. Let's get nuts. And then Barry Allen shoots Bruce Wayne's parents. So
I have to do this to make sure everything turns out right. Oh, God, Mike, can you imagine the way Warner Brothers are obsessed with the murder of the Waynes?
Oh, God.
Like, it would not surprise me.
Well, because my first thought was, wait, are they not just going to cast him as Thomas Wayne? And then I was like, no, hang on. Because you could cast Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Thomas Wayne, because he played him in the Batman v Superman flashback.
Well, Jeffrey Dean Morgan
would make a brilliant Thomas Wayne.
Apparently, he was under the impression that he was going to get to do that.
Oh, Christ.
So,
oh, my God. And I think the multiverse stuff doesn't work, I feel, in films as well as it does in television, when the different actors are playing the same character. Like, I accept in Crisis on Infinite Earths, I accept Brandon Routh being Superman as well as Tyler Hoechlin, them being the same person, everyone be like, oh my God, it's you, Clark, even though they don't look the same.
Always accept Brandon Routh being Superman.
Just not in a film co-starring alongside or being directed by a sexual predator.
Well, yeah, there is that.
Turns out he was the real hero of that film. He genuinely was in real life. But it's do you know what I mean? It's like I can see a scene where Tyler Hoechlin and Brandon Routh are both playing Superman in the same scene in a CW show, and someone's like, "Oh my God, Clark, it's you!" I buy it. I'm like, sure, whatever. But in a film, if Barry Allen is coming out of a thing, taking one look at Michael Keaton and being like, "It's Bruce Wayne," I'm like, no, piss off. Him and Ben Affleck. I don't know what it is. I think the TV, because of its cheaper nature, it kind of feels like you give it that leeway automatically. You go, sure, why not? Whereas, it'd be like if it'd have been like if in Endgame they go back to 2012 and different actors are playing the younger versions of them all in the New York scenes. Yeah, you'd be like, this is weird. We know they didn't look like that. That's odd. I don't know. Andy Muschietti is directing, and I trust him. So let's see if he ends up actually directing it.
Yeah.
Then I'm open. I'm open to anything at this point. I enjoyed Birds of Prey. Like, I'm now waiting with eager anticipation, finally getting to see Wonder Woman 84 at some point. So
Birds of Prey was boss, yo.
We watched it again the other day. Lucy's first watch, and she was like, we got to the end of it. I went, what do you think? She went, that was fucking brilliant. I was like, it was, right? Yeah. It really is.
It's really good.
Like, its only weakness is it assumes you know everything about this character. But guess what? We do, so we don't have to fucking worry about it. Yeah. Let's enjoy it. She really dug it. Especially like the ending. Oh god, the ending action sequence in the I can't remember what they call it now, but the booby trap.
The funhouse.
In the funhouse, yeah. So good.
It's very good.
So good. And then, without going into details for those who haven't seen it, the moment at the edge of a pier with a certain character and a ring is just glorious. It's so good.
It's rather
female director, female writer,
satisfying,
mostly female choreographers, produced by Margot Robbie. Oh look, girls can do this too. How about we keep letting that happen, Hollywood? You fucking idiots.
Right, let's get into some serious stuff now. As this last... Very good, very good.
I'm just showing Matt the fact Wonder Woman's my current wallpaper, which is how excited I am for a film that we're not seeing for an indeterminate amount of time. Yeah.
And if things keep going the way they were, probably not even then, because you can fuck right off if you think I'm going to the cinema. Until I'm absolutely sure it's safe. So
I'm not going until I can wear a Zorb.
Been a rough couple of weeks. And so on the 11th of June, we lost the sadly passed away legendary comic book writer Denny O'Neil, who is widely credited with revitalizing Batman as a property in the early 70s, and so that's how we get on from that to this.
Segues.
And just generally doing lots of really great stuff, particularly at DC.
I mean, the guy redefined Batman, and then like went back and forth between Marvel and DC a bit.
Well, he started off at Marvel.
Yeah.
Roy Thomas brought him in, did some bits and pieces. Picked up Doctor Strange for 6 issues when it was still in Strange Tales. Did some stuff on Rawhide Kid and all that kind of stuff. He did work together with Neil Adams in a sort of attempt to rescue the ailing X-Men title, which unfortunately was a little too late to save that title from becoming a reprint book for the next 5 years. And then he went off to DC in '68. He did some work on The Creeper. He did some work on Wonder Woman and Justice League. Kind of a bad period for Justice League. Not for Justice League, for Wonder Woman, because it was the period where they took away her powers and took away her costume, and now she's a normal woman who fights crime. And I don't think he or anyone working on the book at that time sort of realised how that looks.
Yeah.
But then, as he kept on working, he did push on more sort of left-leaning and socially and politically themed stories, which would eventually lead to Green Lantern and Green Arrow.
Yes, I was going to say that's probably the most notable examples.
Which is most fondly remembered for its storyline in which Green Arrow's ward / sidekick Speeder was a heroin addict, and sort of dealing with that stuff in the and this is what, 70... let's see. 71. So quite early for comics to start tackling this stuff. Like, it was not widely known.
And also around the time where the Comics Code was still there and on everyone's necks. I mean, this was around the same period that Stan Lee and Spider-Man was publishing a story about addiction. At first it was just an encounter with a character who was high and was about to jump off of a building thinking they could fly. Spider-Man catches him. And the Comics Code said, you can't do that. So Stan Lee, who was editor at the time, turned around, found out about that and said, right, well, we're going to print it anyway. Just take the Comics Code seal of approval off the front cover. Sod it. And Denny O'Neil was pioneering in a similar sense because he, especially with this book, Green Arrow and Green Lantern, he was not just going, these two have green in their name, let's put them in a book. But he used it to tell like these sort of social stories, these political stories.
Well, he kind of sort of redefined the Green Arrow as a like socially conscious hero.
Like more akin to Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Not just visually.
So he's kind of responsible for that push and making the recognizable, successful version of the character we all know and love today. And then of course he moved on to Batman, working on Batman books, and was kind of responsible for redefining again Batman for a post Adam West TV show era in which the property had been become known for its campiness and then brought Batman back to a much darker sort of vengeance fueled place.
Yeah, well, it's because the comics have been affected. It was a twofer for Batman. In the 50s, the Comics Code coming around made what the comic book publishers could and couldn't do very, very strict, and as a result, that's where you get a lot of your like the Batman from Planet Z and Superman's been turned into a teddy bear and all this
like
kind of stuff.
Weird Silver Age bullshit.
Yeah, which has its charm and has its place, but it was essentially a reaction because they weren't allowed to do gritty murder. Characters weren't allowed to be killed in panel. Certain books weren't allowed to have guns. And
one of the characters that really suffered from that was the Joker.
Yeah.
Which Denny O'Neil would then sort of return to his homicidal roots with
the Joker's five-way
revenge.
Yeah.
In 73.
God, that's such a good one. I finally read that about 2 years ago and I was like, I can see why this one's like a pin in the notice board of this. Like, this is where he gets redirected. Because you had the sillier Silver Age comics and then the TV series, which again is wonderful and fucking brilliant, but it meant the comics stayed quite light and silly as a result. And then Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams
comes in,
bring back the detective style and the fatality and moral quandaries and the difficult decisions. Like you said, vengeance is a big thing. Something I found out after his passing, which I didn't know, was he then after that run, like one of the first things he did was go back to Marvel as an editor.
This was in 1980. He went back to Marvel, and took over some stuff on Spider-Man and things like that. Specifically,
Daredevil, he got on board with because he gave a then just inker, Frank Miller, his first he did a cover shift on an issue of Daredevil, basically not a front cover but a cover shift, which then led to obviously he essentially gave Frank Miller that little testing run, and then a little bit led down the line, Denny O'Neil as editor assigned Frank Miller to be not just the writer but the artist for Daredevil for a stretch.
He covered the run.
Yeah.
He bridged the gap between Frank Miller's two stints on it. So.
There you go. So even he leapt into that one, but it was just the thought that this is the guy that redefined Batman in the 70s, and he sort of gave the leg up that led to the sort of prospering career of the guy who then redefined Batman for the 80s.
Yeah,
and it's those two eras that are still felt the most today.
I think so. Yeah,
the Denny O'Neil Neil Adams' run, like Head of the Demon and these kind of storylines.
Well, again, creating Ra's al Ghul and Talia al Ghul and that sort of corner of the universe.
And then you skip ahead, and Denny O'Neil is again. I think this is at DC. He was editor for the original publication of Batman Year One. So another thing where he gave Frank another nudge. He was either editor or he was the one who got it to publication. But he was involved. He was involved in it. 'Cause he was like, I've worked with this guy over here. The Daredevil book sold gangbusters as soon as he took over and started telling stories. Let him tell this Batman story. And it's like, oh my god,
he took over as group editor for Batman. So I think that was slightly after Year One.
So he could have maybe swayed it. I remember reading that he was involved in its inception.
It wouldn't surprise me. I could be wrong about the timeline there.
No. So it's probably in a non-official capacity then, more. Read this guy's take, like hear this guy out. But it's just amazing to think that he was one of the he's one of the people who's the foundation of what we know Batman to be now.
Yeah.
And he gave the leg up to people who also built it up to the thing. Like we don't get the Nolan films without Year One.
No.
And we don't get Year One without Denny O'Neil giving Frank Miller that leg up.
Yeah.
And we definitely don't get Batman 89 in particular without the stuff that Frank produced in the 80s, but more importantly, without that change of direction that Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams brought to the book in the 70s.
Yeah.
Dude was pretty fucking prolific as far as comic books go.
Very prolific.
And it sucks to think that he's not here anymore.
Also credited with naming Optimus Prime.
Bloody well, there you go.
Because he was an editor at Marvel at the time when Bob Budiansky was coming up with all the names and characters of the original toys. So
he's Optimus's daddy.
That's it. Well, in a way.
Yeah. Optimus Senior.
In a way.
Yeah, in a way. I want to find that Green Lantern, Green Arrow run as much as I can, because the one that I've heard so much about and I've never read, but a lot of panels of it did the rounds a week or so ago when he passed.
I used to have it. I used to have those 2 issues.
Oh, dude! Well, what's it called? Is it called Heroes? Heroes Down or something like that, and.
What, the run or that particular
story
where
the story where basically it's the panels that are doing the rounds is an elderly African American guy approaches Green Arrow, and Green Lantern basically just says like, where have you been? He says like you protect the people with purple skin, you protect the people with blue skin, and you're out there in the cosmos doing that. What about someone with black skin? What about people here on Earth right now? And essentially for like a couple issues, they both like take off their costumes and run naked. They take off their costumes and just travel America and meet people and learn more about their lives and do a little bit of covert superheroing along the way. But it's a story where Denny O'Neil was like, right, so I've got this Robin Hood style swashbuckling hero, and I've got this cosmic fighter who can conjure weapons out of thin air with his imagination, and I'm going to do a story where an average, ordinary man comes up to him and says, excuse me, I know there's space aliens and shit out there, and you're really good at that, but down here there's racism, there's homophobia, there's xenophobia. You gonna help us out, or what? I think that was
that was a really important stance to take during the 70s, and it always makes me laugh when people complain about making... Oh, too much politics in comics, too much politics in my entertainment. It's like, you've been paying attention. Like, it's
of course they've not. Of course they've never been paying attention.
Fucking stupid.
Of course they haven't. They just see Thor's muscles and they go, God, he's got such good gains, bro. And it's like, maybe read the fucking stories sometime. And
but hey,
the stories about mortality and what is right and how sins of the past like never go away and we should learn from them and all that. Like, there's all this stuff in them, even the mythological shit. Superman, this guy's near invincible, comes from the stars, and he can leap tall buildings in a single bound. It's a story about how you should always, regardless of your power, be nice to people and do the right thing.
Always.
Like, they don't get it, and it's so annoying. Batman is so sick. Yeah. Do you know why? Because he doesn't ever want a child to have to go without their parents. That's why he's cool. because he wants to protect innocence.
He does beat people up, though, all the time.
He does, but most of the time those people are trying to kill him with giant typewriters or big pennies.
It's a complicated character. So we pay tribute to Denny O'Neil.
I had to you, sir.
And we also pay tribute to the late Ian Holm.
Sir Ian of Holm. Renown,
yeah.
Oh, God.
Who passed away on the 19th of June. And, hey, do we need to tell you who Ian Holm was? The man was a legendary actor.
I think for certain...
British stage and screen.
Yeah. For certain listeners of ours... you're going to think of God knows what, like you're going to go far back. I mean, for me, the thing I think of weirdly when I first hear Ian Holm's name, the first thing that comes to mind for me is Time Bandits, where he briefly plays Napoleon.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, it's just, mostly just because I remember that scene very clearly and being like,
yeah,
fucking great.
And also Time Bandits is great.
Time Bandits is a great movie. It's so camp and enjoying itself for that fact. It's so good. Speaking of Robin Hood, the whole Robin Hood sequence in that is pretty great as well.
Just fabulous, isn't it?
But like, for viewers of a certain age, they'll absolutely know him specifically for Alien as Ash.
I think Alien when I think Ian Holm. That's
based on our analytics. I think a lot of our listeners will mostly be thinking of Bilbo Baggins in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and very briefly at the top end of The Hobbit.
Yeah, but you know he's prolific to say the least, all over stage and screen, British stage and screen since the 50s.
Oh, he never stopped. He died of we believe it's complications from Parkinson's.
Yeah, because he hadn't really acted for a while.
Yeah, I think The Hobbit was his last film role, the first Hobbit film.
I think so. Yeah, he had. There was. I don't know when they filmed it, but he was also in the last one because they had that bookending footage with him and.
They probably shot him at the same time.
And Elijah Wood. Yeah, probably. So that's the last. That's his last credited on-screen role.
And that would have been in his early 80s because he passed away at 88.
88. So this was what 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So it would have been 80 or so. It reprised his role as Ash for the Alien Isolation stuff, but I don't know how much of that
he did
was new.
It was all voice. As far as I know, they were all performance capture, but the original actors didn't.
It was the voice, but
the dialogue. I
don't know how much of that was new dialogue. But yeah, since a Lord of the Rings has sort of wrapped, it had a definite sort of winding down after like 2006.
He'd never stopped, has he? I mean, I think the first film I became acquainted with him in was Fifth Element.
Yeah, of course, in the Fifth Element. It's great in the Fifth Element.
Hilarious in the Fifth Element.
Great movie.
Looking like some kind of meddling monk meets the master hybrid cosplay for the majority of the film.
Yeah. Other maybe
an actor of such
highlights.
An actor of such renown, and he's basically playing comedic relief in that film. Like he has to deliver the weight of it all, but at the same time is really funny.
But he was that kind of actor; he could absolutely do that.
Yeah.
Other memorable projects that people will remember him for include like he was in Chariots of Fire.
Yes, of course.
It was also in Brazil. Another cult classic. Was in the 1989 film version of Henry V and the 1990 film version of Hamlet. So, very... Again, he's one of the Shakespearean actors, so he's definitely got a history with that. Like, going back to his early TV appearances in the late 50s, early 60s, it's televised Shakespeare, essentially, a lot of it. So I think of the generation with like your Judi Dench's and your Ian McKellens, it's that kind of area
in that wheelhouse
of Britain. Yeah,
he was one of that ilk.
Yeah,
he probably played.
Although I don't think he'd worked with Ian McKellen until Lord of the Rings. I think that was like one of their we'd love to work together, and they actually finally got to work together on Lord of the Rings.
Finally got to work together when we were old as balls.
Existenz, David Cronenberg, weird. Fucking video game movie with Jude Law and Jennifer Jason Leigh, and also Christopher Eccleston.
forgot about that one.
In a small role. Yeah, the 99 TV version of Animal Farm. Like, it's Ian Holm. It's Ian Holm. Like, what do you want me to say? Hell of a career. Incredible actor. And, yeah, sad to see him pass away at the age of 88. I mean, hell of an innings, though. Did some amazing work while he was around. And then on the 22nd of June, in another loss for the film world, Joel Schumacher, director and just character.
All round
just
gossip
wonderful
and
character.
Sexual dynamo, I learned this week.
Apparently so. Yeah, he passed away of cancer at the age of 80.
Yeah.
So again, another
long life.
Good innings.
Yeah.
And again, in recent years, a much less prominent career, but certainly
a lot more TV in recent years.
Yeah, well, he directed a couple of episodes of the first series of House of Cards. I think was his last directing gig.
So yeah, he'd been winding down for a little bit then.
But before that, there had also been a definite move away from studio-backed pictures into more like essentially straight to DVD or straight to VOD stuff. I think his last feature was the notorious Trespass with Nicolas Cage and Nicole Kidman, which I didn't even make it all the way through. But
here's the odd thing about Joel Schumacher we're going to talk about. The regular listeners to the show will have heard us shit on some of his films before.
We dunk on some of Joel Schumacher's work a lot, but when you actually look at his filmography...
Yeah. He's got a bigger hit rate than miss rate.
Pretty fucking good.
And he's consistent. Like, the amount of films that guy directed is nuts. But most notably for our listeners, the ones that will probably crop up for you guys are The Lost Boys.
Yeah, which is one of my favourite films of all time.
Batman Forever.
It's just fabulous.
It is great. Batman Forever.
Which, as Jonathan Ross once said, is the greatest movie ever made.
In a competition to get on more review covers than his brother. Phone Booth is another big one that I've realised is sort of... It's kind of like past our generation, if that makes any sense. I think it's people just slightly younger than us remember that one a bit more, because...
2002.
Yeah, it was kind of like... It was like the start of the DVD era proper, but by this point you and I were probably most collecting DVDs of things we loved from when we were younger, so we weren't absorbing as much of the like, have you heard about this one? It's completely set in a phone booth. It's a good film, though. It's sort of the film that kind of made Colin Farrell, really, as well. It's a household name.
Yeah, of course.
Musical buffs either love or hate, but always, with whichever one, enjoy in some way the 2004 adaptation of Phantom of the Opera.
I mean, yeah, the 2004 Phantom, choices were made. I don't think they were the right choices, but choices were definitely made, and he was the only person in consideration for that by Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yeah.
Because of the way that he used music in one of his earlier films, The Lost Boys.
In Lost Boys? Ah, there you go.
Because of the way the music was weaved into Lost Boys, Andrew Lloyd Webber somehow, he looked at that and went, he's the man to bring Phantom of the Opera to the screen.
He's the fella. Lost Boys, again, like we were talking about Denny O'Neill's legacy, but like Lost Boys is another perfect example. The vampire genre was redefined, not necessarily overnight, but like every new bit of vampire fiction over the following decade, it was like, this is taking inspiration from Lost Boys. Lost Boys is behind this.
I don't think we'd have got Buffy without Lost Boys.
Oh no, absolutely not. In particular, the influence is so prominent in series 2 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, particularly with the introduction of Spike and Drusilla. It's like they feel cut from the same cloth as the characters from Lost Boys. I mean, it's still being homaged today. I mean, as recently as Us, like the opening scene on a pier set in the 80s.
Yeah.
The film being shot down round the corner that's referred to is the filming of Lost Boys. It's it's one of those things that current horror directors are like, I've got to throw in a shout out to the Lost Boys. I've got to throw in a shout out to that film. And again, just the style, the look of it, the way it kind of redefined vampires a bit, made them a bit more grungy, brought them into the then present day.
You know me, I love a grungy vamp.
Oh yeah. My favourite Joel Schumacher film is one that sort of grows more and more upsetting as time goes by. When you realise that its lead character is kind of a common sort of person to meet nowadays.
Yeah, I know exactly where you're going with this one.
It's still a fucking brilliantly made movie called Falling Down, starring Michael Douglas. So we spoke about this one on the show before a bit, but like, the story starts out with a guy who's just pissed off on his way to work. He's having a horrible day. His car breaks down on the motorway on like the hottest day on record. And he just starts taking his frustration out on the people he meets on the way to work. And you're like, oh, this is really cathartic. It's like, oh, I wish I could speak my mind like that. And then 10, 15 minutes in, he uses his first racial slur. And you're like, wait, what?
Oh, yeah.
What?
And it just sort of spirals from there.
Yeah, and it's horror. And then you realise by the 25-minute mark when you meet I can't remember who the actor is now, where you meet the cop who starts to tie into the story.
What's his name?
Thingamajig. Oojamaflip.
Robert Duvall.
You meet Robert Duvall's cop and you realise that, they're going to end up crossing paths. Oh, wait, not just that. He's already been assigned to keep an eye on this guy. Oh my god, he's not just a dude frustrated on the way to work. This is somebody who's on, like, a list of people to keep an eye on because he has, like, been stalking and like, threatening his ex-wife. Oh my god! And it's a gut punch of a film. It's really uncomfortable. And it starts out as like a full on like power fantasy of God, I wish I could just be really rude to everybody and say fuck you and leave me alone and why are you parking like that? Stop honking your fucking horn. Oh, it'd be so wonderful to do that. And wait a minute, did he just call that shopkeeper something really horrible? Oh, he's still going. Oh, he's hitting that person with a bat. Oh, he's not stopping. Okay. And it's just that escalation is so sharp that it takes such a quick turn from like, this is this dark comedy's hilarious to, it's a thriller.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's a real good movie, I think.
That's the film that kind of made me realise, holy shit, Joel Schumacher is a great director. Because no, go on.
I think for me it was A Time to Kill.
I've not seen it, but yes,
it's
I've
good,
heard,
man.
Yeah.
He did a couple of John Grisham adaptations. He did The Client. Basically, he sandwiched them.
Well, because
he sandwiched Batman Forever in between two John Grisham adaptations.
Which one's Tommy Lee Jones in? Is he in both?
That's The Client.
The Client, yeah.
Which is 94. Then he did Batman Forever. And then he did A Time to Kill in 96, which is Matthew McConaughey, Sandra Bullock, Samuel L. Jackson, Kevin Spacey, Oliver Platt, Donald and Kiefer Sutherland.
The two Sutherlands!
He did work also a late role for Patrick McGowan.
Oh, there you go. So he's somebody wanted to tell stories and had a great enthusiasm for it. But the film that I grew up knowing him the most for is probably his most notorious movie.
Yeah,
which splits people right down the middle. But that middle is incredibly one-sided to the negative.
Yeah,
but there seems to be some revisionism of it going on recently, and I experienced that myself about 4 years ago.
Definitely,
it's Batman and Robin, the movie that single-handedly killed comic book movies.
Yeah,
for about a year. That's the thing everyone forgets. It didn't kill the comic book movie because Blade came out just over a year later, and then X-Men a year and a bit after that. And it was kept going. But it was definitely like the Batman 89 is the biggest thing on the planet.
Yeah.
Batman Returns has divided people, but it's kept the interest going. Batman Forever is playing it way too safe, but it was an absolute financial hit. They had massive stars of the day in title roles, especially Carey. Yeah. So the momentum's there, and then Batman and Robin comes out and everyone goes, the fuck is this? And it is, as far as creating a story with that property, those characters, that world, and it being the fourth chapter in this series.
Yeah,
it's a fucking train wreck.
But
it's a fun train wreck. Yeah, it's hilarious.
And I think I've said this before, but if you give me the choice between watching Dark Knight Rises or Batman Begins or Batman and Robin, I'm going to watch Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
Because it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? I might even watch Batman and Robin over The Dark Knight. Because as good as The Dark Knight is, and it is a seminal piece of work, Robin's more fun.
You got to be in the mood. You got to be in the mood for The Dark Knight. Like,
whereas Batman and Robin will force you to be in the mood for it.
You stick it on in the back. You stick it on in the background, and just it's like letting off a really nice incense stick. You just sort of like, do you know what? Yeah, all right. Like it is awful. It's a shame. It is awful, but it's so much fun.
You can also see where it could be retooled into the sort of darker version that Schumacher wanted to make.
Yeah,
but because he really wanted to do Year One.
Unfortunately, he had people write it the way it was written, and he decided to light it the way it was lit, and it was like, Joel, I'm not sure you knew how to do the film you wanted to make just yet. Now we know he wanted to afterwards because there was going to be a sequel, which the most common title attributed to it was Batman Triumphant.
Yeah.
And it was going to be a follow-on. Clooney was going to reprise his role. O'Donnell was going to reprise his role. Alicia Silverstone, I think, was tied into it as well to return as Batgirl. And the villains were going to be Scarecrow, played either by, because depending on which contract negotiation it was nearest the near green light that the film had, either by Nicolas Cage or Christopher Lloyd.
I saw John Travolta.
I saw him listed, but I don't know if it was ever for Scarecrow. That might have been for one of the following pitches. Yeah, because Schumacher was involved in a couple then.
Back when it was in development, I remember reading in the magazines at the time.
God, in Starburst
that John Travolta, I think it was SFX. That John Travolta was
or Sex, as it most commonly looked to be called, based on how they placed the covers.
Yes.
Yeah. That always got me awkward looks at Morrison's. 12-year-old me buying it because it's got Buffy as the main story and there's Spike on the cover, and I'm handing over a magazine that looks like it's called Sex because the character's in front of the F. Sex, the magazine. And it was gonna have Harley Quinn in it, played by either Madonna. Ooh. Which, when you hear that, you're like, that is so fucking Joel Schumacher casting right there. Or Courtney Love. And Harley Quinn was going to be the daughter of Jack Napier.
I don't know which of those is
I know,
worse,
right?
to be honest.
But she was going to have been the daughter of Jack Napier, so the daughter of the Joker, who wanted revenge for her father's death from the first film. And it got as far as contracts being negotiated for Michelle Pfeiffer, Danny DeVito, Tommy Lee Jones, Jim Carrey, Schwarzenegger, Thurman, and Nicholson to reprise their roles for a Scarecrow nightmare sequence. Yes. It got that far to the point where and a couple of them signed. Jack had signed to do it, which probably means that when it all fell through, he got some kind of buyout from Warner Brothers. It's like, I thought you were gonna use me in your film. We're not making the film anymore. Then you owe me some money, motherfucker. And then they would have paid him money. Yeah, because he already has a massive fund of specifically Jack Napier money, which is so weird. So weird.
He wasn't stupid on those negotiations.
Got a percentage of the back end, and anytime someone uses Jack Napier, he gets paid a lot of cash.
It was a hell of an agent he had then.
Yeah, DC recently have obviously been splashing cash because there's been at least 2 instances where that name's been used in storylines recently. This might have been his name.
Or it's like, it must be like pennies on the dollar, though.
Maybe. I mean, that being said, I think in White Knight, I haven't read it for a few months, but I think in White Knight, he's called Jack Napier. Like, that's just his name. So it's like, they've definitely paid him something there. Like, the Joker is called Jack Napier in it. But yeah, so Schumacher, clearly had a passion for it. And then, like you say, when the sequel fell through, Warner Brothers were bandying around ideas for a way to reboot the franchise. And it was Schumacher who was at the forefront of a Year One adaptation.
Yeah.
He wanted to do back to basics, cast a younger Batman, origins of the character. He's just got back from his training around the world. And obviously, other things were pitched. That version of Batman v Superman that Mr. Sunday Movies and the animation collaborator created a version of a while ago on YouTube, which is fucking wonderful. But he's dead. Like that, there were other sequels and other spin-off and reboot ideas, but it's pretty obvious that Schumacher's pitching of Year One, which then led to Darren Aronofsky being interested in doing a version of Year One, then led to the Nolan version of Year One, which was Batman Begins, and gave us the Dark Knight and the Dark Knight. Like, so again, Batman and Robin killed Batman. Yeah, but guess what? The guy who killed Batman led you down the path that brought you the Nolan version.
Yeah.
And not just because he killed it and they were like, we have to do the polar opposite, because his film killed it, in scare quotes, and then he pursued doing a reboot that was back to basics.
Say what you will about the choices he made and the end products, but I don't think you can ever accuse him of not caring about the work he was doing.
Oh God, no! I mean, like from the clear joy of working with these essentially living action figures.
Yeah,
like he's having fun doing that. The neo-Gothic architecture that suddenly now has got all this Grecian influence. Like you have these massive statues throughout Gotham. He was a very, very out gay man and did not hide that at all in his work. And sexuality is a big thing.
Did not shy away
in
from
Batman and Robin.
Loving depictions of the male body and male physique.
Because it's there in Batman Forever, but in Batman and Robin, it's like he does the same thing as Tim Burton. Batman is Tim Burton making a Batman film based on what Batman was at that time and the comics and the style. Yeah. Batman Returns is Tim Burton making a Tim Burton movie that has Batman characters in it. So,
which I hate to say it is why it's a better film.
I disagree, but fair enough. Like, Batman Forever is Joel Schumacher making a less gothic version of what Tim started with his two films.
Yeah.
Batman and Robin is Joel Schumacher going, give me nipples. I want nipples. I want more neon. I want just for people who fancy ladies. Let's have a striptease, but she's going to striptease out of a giant gorilla costume.
Yeah, love it.
Because I'm not fucked about that.
As much as we mock the sort of cartoonishness of it, I think it would have been darker if it hadn't have been for the sort of production company pushing the action figures.
Well,
and things like that.
Kenner designed everything, it would have been, and then they put it in the film. Yeah.
So I think if we might have got something a bit less compromised, it would have been not only fun, but fun and probably better.
Maybe. I mean, Akiva Goldsman's written amazing films, but the script for Batman and Robin is fucking garbage. Like, it's really bad. And the best stuff in it is Michael Gough, because he was always great as Alfred. I like Freeze's suit. Like, I legit like that version of the Freeze armor.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, the neon kind of highlights the musculature of it a bit, but, like, fuck it. Why not? Like, he wants to appear big and intimidating and scary, so go for it. And I think Uma Thurman, if you could just take what she's doing, her look, her style of performance, and teleport it back 30 years and put it in the Adam West show,
It is the Adam West show.
Right in.
It is. So,
she fits in so well. O'Donnell gets to be more of an action hero in Batman and Robin than he does in Batman Forever. But at the same time, there's still a bit of a whiny brat about Schumacher's version of Robin.
Yeah.
That on reflection, based on other characters he's written for, especially young male characters, you're like, I think that was just kind of his thing. Like, his thing was just a slightly bratty, buff young dude.
Probably.
Like, Clooney's shit in Batman and Robin, but he's acknowledged that he's shit in it. Like, he's apologised for being shit in it.
Like, he's doing a thing. I don't know what it is, but he's doing it.
Alicia Silverstone is shit in it. She's really bad in it.
Yeah.
But you've got all these...
I'd argue she's super miscast.
Oh, yeah. Bane is so badly mishandled, but I think that was either Joel or Akiva or whoever going... This guy was in a huge event that sold like gangbusters a few years ago. He's like the latest Batman villain. Everyone fucking loves him. Just put him in it. They took one look at like the cover of that Nightfall issue. He's breaking Batman's back, and that stupid steroid musculature of half of those drawings. They took one look at it. They took one look at it. And went right. So he's a big muscly guy. Cool. And then they just went with it. And they were like, "We'll just do that." So he's not Bane.
That's all we got.
He's not Bane in any way except the look. And it looks great. It's a great looking Bane. It looks like if Saban had done a Batman TV series in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like Power Rangers Bane. Except they probably would have got rid of the kinky studs off of his choker and
I don't know. I think they complete the look.
I mean, to the point where they're in the new Batman and Robin Adventures. The redesigned Bane has kinky studs. I'm looking at the figure right now, and he looks like an S&M character.
I love a kinky stud.
You know, and Bane is ridiculous. But again, like, just the bit parts are so wonderful. There's that woman who I can't remember who it is now. I think she's Bob Kane's wife. And she plays a reporter. She plays a Gossip Gertie in Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. Just camp as Christmas. Pat Hingle still doesn't have much to do, but that they make him sort of like this.
He just sort of stands around and looks lost.
But now he's kind of like everyone around it. Like the reporters ask him questions, and everyone's a bit more friendly with him now because in the Burt movies they don't give a fuck about Gordon. You've got like John Glover giving a fucking brilliant performance with the 5 minutes of screen time he has as Dr. Jason Woodrow.
Wondrous. That is wondrous.
I'm afraid you'll have to die. It's like, what are you doing, John Glover, apart from devouring the scenery?
That's what that entire film is, though, to be fair.
Oh, it's full. The sexualized imagery in that film is like, it's off the fucking scale, and it's part hilarious, part empowering, all stupid, but it's just entertaining. I mean, everything. It's oozing with it. Like, oh god. But that was where I learned something this week in all the stuff. I had a little watch of this week's Fat Man Beyond before because they put out a really
hold that thought because I've got to switch off my phone and move you to my tablet. So hold that thought for 2 secs. All right, I'll have put a ninja edit in there and that'll have fixed it. But you were saying about Batman on Batman.
They put a short episode out.
Batman Beyond.
A short one than usual is because Kevin Smith had another engagement where they wanted to like meet up and get some news out, and they talked a bit about the passing of Joel Schumacher. But they highlighted the fact that he alleged in one interview that he had had sex with 20,000 different men. And it's one of those where you go like, okay, he's obviously just like doing a roundup number there, but apparently it's not the first time anyone has talked about the fact Joel Schumacher got laid like a lot.
I can believe it.
And again, he was a very out gay man and very proud of it, and it shows in a lot of the films. Like he champions kind of sort of, I guess, the ideals and things he wanted to see growing up as a gay man in cinema, which is why suddenly Batman, like he points out in the behind the scenes documentaries for Batman and Robin, again in particular more so than Forever, that like there is an inherent sexuality to the idea of a person being so confident in themselves that they can go out and save the world, wearing this skin tight thing to show that they are ready to take on the world. Yeah, and that's why the suits, because he's like Batman. He's a Greek god. Like that's what he is. He's swooping down to save us lesser men. So that's why the suits suddenly have sculpted musculature. It's not suggested musculature. It's not shaped like, say, the Affleck suit. It's not hinted at in the costume like the Bale costume. Like it's flat out nipples, like abs, pectoral muscles,
all the bits and pieces. So we put it all in there.
Yeah, like he was absolutely, on reflection, absolutely, he was going, yeah, that's hot. Like,
and
that is hot. That is hot.
It's nice to see.
It's nice to see that sort of show. Again, we've talked before about. Again, I hope they come up with a new collective terminology for this in the future, because it's a very sort of old school way of thinking. But the male gaze and the female gaze is in reference to a film trope where something on screen is done specifically to spike the sexual interests of a male or female audience member. Yeah, and it's referred to the male gaze whenever it's a female character, and it's referred to the female gaze whenever it's a male character. Again, they need to come up with new names, because obviously we're not fucking batteries.
Yeah,
the sexual spectrum is wide as sin.
It's not a binary, shall we say?
Yeah, they should call it something like, I don't know, woman candy and man candy. I know that's more derogatory, but it's also a derogatory trope anyway. It can be used stylistically, sensitively, and for fun, tongue in cheek, but it can also be used in a really kind of for example. Like, for example, Chris Hemsworth getting his kit off in the Vacation reboot is tongue-in-cheek, the way that's played, that sort of gag.
Yeah.
Alice Eve standing there in her underwear in Star Trek Into Darkness.
Oh god, that's awful. Yeah,
one of the most egregious examples. There are ways to do it. There are ways to do it. The Marvel films very heavily lean into the female gaze. There are a lot of examples in the MCU movies of the dudes being kind of just shown off a bit to camera in a way in a way that's not designed to be like, wow, they look like they got really ripped for this. In a way that is designed to make you go, oh fucking hell, hello.
Yeah.
And they've done that because it's so much been heavy the other way over the years.
Yeah.
The Marvel films have obviously gone, do you know what? Let's make it all acceptable by balancing the scales using our platform.
Yeah.
Joel Schumacher fills his movie, specifically Batman and Robin, fills it with the female gaze. Absolutely fills it with the female gaze.
Yeah.
But in this movie, it was Joel's gaze.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Spell however you want to spell it. It was Joel's gaze. And he's loving it. So, I'm trying to remember the name of the guy, and I'm really annoyed. But the guy who runs the Scum and Villainy Cantina that Fat Man Beyond tends to record at.
Oh yeah, I can tell you.
He did the calculations off the top of his head of how many men Joel Schumacher would have had to have slept with over a certain amount of years to have hit 20,000.
Yeah,
and he surmised that it was something like he had to have slept with like 60 men, like without breaking the streak or whatever. So something like 60 different men. In 30 odd years, per year in 30 years, something like that, or 100 and something in 20 years, or something like that. I was like, okay, the guy'd been in the industry for about 40 years, and he was 80. So let's say he started his sexual sort of conquest at the age of 20. That's 60 years of fucking. And that's also not to say that it was just one dude in the room every time with him.
Yeah, I mean...
So the 20,000... If
you want to get nuts, let's get nuts.
He was bookending it. Yeah. Batman and Robin was always going to be the end of the quadrilogy.
I think we can call Joel Schumacher's career and life a win.
Yeah, the dude lived. The dude fucking lived.
Yeah. So we're celebrating the lives of three legends this week, and that's a sobering thought as we sort of move into whatever fucking phase of lockdown and civil unrest comes next with all the shit that's going on in the world with fucking Black Lives Matter needing to keep the momentum up, because that shit's not getting any better, with transphobia rampant and rife, and with coronavirus ravaging the world still.
But
just
hey, don't
taking
worry.
some time to remember three people who did some great stuff with their lives, and hopefully that we can sort of go from that example.
Things are looking up, though, because the President of the United States doesn't need two hands to drink a glass of water, so I guess everything's going to be fine now.
Don't. I can't.
Do you remember how one of our first episodes was us during the presidential campaign of 2016 talking about how if he won, it would basically be like stupid Lex Luthor getting into the White House?
It was stupid and incompetent Lex Luthor.
I was going to say, I think even comparing him to Lex Luthor, despite in a derogatory way, or even more derogatory, I think we're insulting Lex Luthor.
Well, yeah, one could say that.
Good God.
But I think that's a good place to leave it for the week. In celebration of three excellent lives and careers, Denny O'Neil, Ian Holm, Joel Schumacher, we at the Big Damn Cast salute you.
Bye, Jingo.
And we also salute you at home. And we'll see you here next week. Stay safe and all that.
Wash your damn hands.
Be good to each other. Wash your damn hands. Wear a fucking mask.
Yeah,
please,
very important.
Please wear a mask.
But if you need to take your gloves off to type us an email, please do. We're going to catch up with some emails next week. So biggamcontact@gmail.com.
I've got a couple that I wanted to catch up on this week, but my phone is draining faster than it can charge, so I'm having to Skype on the tablet, which is where I do the emails, so I can't get to the emails because I'm Skyping Christopher's face. It's just a whole thing. I'm having some tech. The heat is not good for any of this tech.
Yeah, we're recording this on the current hottest day on record.
Oh my god.
Matt's in a vest and I'm Porky Pig in it.
I have been.
So, you don't know. I've not tilted the camera down.
Yeah, I mean, Chris doesn't know if I'm wearing anything below the waist, so. I mean, the way I'm sitting, I might not be wearing anything below the chest. This could be a crop top. You wouldn't know.
Oh my god.
Maybe it is. How's that for your female gaze?
Please email in bigdamcontact@gmail.com. How are you staving off the heat? Got any questions you want to catch up for us? We'll do some catch up at the start of next show. You can, of course, hit us up on Twitter throughout the week @BigDamnCast. And, of course, nearly forget, you can support the show and everything we do. Patreon.com/BigDamnCast. Any shekel be good shekel. You can join us on the Discord. It's filthy in there. It's dirty.
We love a shekel.
I won't mind telling you. It's dirty. And, of course, catch up live streams every Monday, Friday, and sometimes in betwixt on twitch.tv/BigDamnStream.
Aye.
Twitch, please remove the sexual predators off your bloody platform. And the world will be a slightly better place.
I mean, you say that for so many platforms at the moment. It's a real shit show out there.
I know. I mean, at least they've not caught us yet, because we're murderers. Oh shit, we just said that.
Sorry, let's stay.
Play the theme! Play the theme!